Oh, now stop.
Why did I hear that?
Dramatic production, I would like to welcome everyone to a showing of Nana's life. I'm sure no one needs reminding of how much Nana loves to laugh, and I think that this production will deliver on that front. How could someone who has done such a variety of different and amazing things in her life be showcased tonight? Your children and grandchildren have attempted this momentous task, and have prepared a reenactment of your glorious decades.
Although it may be very comedic, we all appreciate your warmth, talent, and love. From war escapee to model to TV host, to scholar, and most importantly, loving wife, mother, and grandmother, we hope that your amazing legacy throughout your 80 years has been captured. So everyone, strap yourselves in for some impressive acting and humor, because by the way, we all have our father's or grandfather's wit.
So the first decade we're going to talk about here is the 1940s, which is a very different time. I'll probably characterize every decade as a different time, if I'm being honest. There was a war. Stalin, that was a big 1940s issue. NASCAR started, for all of us who were worried about that. Captain America was introduced and really captured everything that it meant to be French-Canadian. They finished Mount Rushmore in the 40s. It took a whole 14 years, which my question is, how do they know they weren't going to dislike these people 15 years after doing it? But somehow the Teddy Roosevelts have stayed with us. And now we have somebody to represent the 1940s. I'm not sure who that is, but they will be the person coming on stage as I walk off.
There once was a couple in Paris who found out they were going to be three. That bébé was Arlette, and as soon as they met, they made a très bien family. Sorry, I didn't have time to remove my Then the family was caught in the war juggernaut, and they cried, "Holy cow, let's get out of here now." And passage overseas was sought. Actually, you know the song.
The 1950s were even more different than the decade that preceded it. The Ed Sullivan Show started shortly thereafter, and everything from that point was a really big shoe. Minimum wage still wasn't a thing, so people were just being worked like dogs, and nobody's really sure for what. A lot happened in the early 50s, if we're being honest here. Nuclear submarines. We had the introduction of nuclear submarines, and we were all living in fear after that point. Castro had just overthrown Batista. But here we have the 1950s.
Singing out late, how can my baby back?
Just like that used to be fun to do. Recognize yourself, Mommy. I wish I'd had that body. You did. And you did. I saw the pictures.
There once was a girl from Mount Royal who for the labor union did toil. She had a great bod, which got her the nod from Trudeau, whose blood she did boil. There once was a boy from Westmount whose admirers were too many to count. But one great look. Are you French? 'Cause you're one sexy wench. And from this, our family did sprout.
Upon a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed clouds he saw, plowing through the ragged skies, and up a cloudy dawn.
Realize that we're doing this by half decades in certain portions. Were even more different than the first two that preceded them. There were only 48 states, if we're going back that far, and now there's 55, 56. Rosa Parks refused to move from that seat, and now we still remember that. And civil rights and stuff, that was big but it was bigger later. And I was lying with that first thing because Alaska and Hawaii would become the 49th and 50th states by the end of the decade. So, now we're sort of where we... Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
There once was a girl named Arlette who had a desire to beget. She had not one but three, and soon she would see that motherhood would make her sweat. Arlette took it all in stride, even when they cried and cried. But when out came two more, it was too much of a chore. So with the Catholics, she severed ties.
So the early 1960s, right? I still wasn't born yet, if you can believe it. John F. Kennedy accepts the presidency, which, a lot of people were debating. Howdy Doody. I don't actually know what that is. To Kill a Mockingbird came out, which is actually something I figure a lot of people in this room might know something about. It's a book about a lawyer and, something like that, right? Oh, yeah, that was also a key theme.
Of the 60s.
And of To Kill a Mockingbird, coincidentally. It's, it's a different time.
It was up to the 60th and to the cold, where the miners were looking for gold. To the north they adjusted, the kids to ook pick entrusted. But boy, those canned potatoes got old. The winters were so long and so dark, they needed a bit of a lark. Instead of a pub, it was beer in the tub, while Mountie Jim was kept in the dark. Then on to Churchill, our next northern home, where the polar bears famously roam. When you hear the snow crunch, you know they're looking for lunch. Mom, don't send those kids out alone. It was time for a stint in BC. We were off to Kamloops and TV, with Inuit life in a box, including dog whips and mucklucks. Mom's northern talks became famous, you see.
Every day, beating the hot oil.
The late 1960s were also a different time.
Yet again.
Che Guevara had encouraged everyone to rise up, fight the power, and grow a beard. Ho Chi Minh was doing whatever Ho Chi Minh did.
Whoever he was.
Yeah, Vietnam or something. And so an interesting fact to take a serious note is that between 1965 and 1946, there were 80 million children born in North America. So I figured the sentiment of having too many kids and not being happy about it was probably a pretty popular thing at the time. Which I really, I cannot vouch to. And that's all I have for the late 1960s.
So just in case you're wondering, this was Mom's lingerie period, where every Christmas My dad would buy her a beautiful negligee every Christmas without fail under the tree, so she spent a lot of time walking around like this, which after a while we got used to. After 3 years of far too much snow, life beckoned where tumbleweeds blow. On TV, she'd smile. Let's visit a while. Woo!
Wow, where's the that?
But before long they said, gotta go. Back up to the Arctic they head, but spent too much time warming in bed. The tribe grew by one, but this time a son. Mom needed a real job instead. In no time she'd whipped out her pen, as wordplay was always her ken. And soon bubbling forth came news of the North, but the South was calling again. In '68, Dad didn't treat her. There's a place where her life could be sweeter and warmer by far. Honey, you take the car, and I'll see you in Burrow of Peter. So Mom hit the road and a wing.
Yes, I remember that.
And when they arrived, here's the thing. Life turned out quite fine at 749, but stay tuned for more traveling.
So the 1970s were a strange and ludicrous time. You know, everybody was... Nixon resigned from office. Everybody was excited about that. Ho Chi Minh down the drain. We won in Vietnam. Well, they won, we won. It's all unclear at this point.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, what is winning, right? NASA lands on Mars, finally. And a young Luke Skywalker... Well, no, it wasn't a manned mission, folks. Come on. And a young Luke Skywalker returned home to his aunt and uncle's moisture farm to find it destroyed by what he thought was Bantha Raiders. And so he joined the rebellion, and, you know, the rest is the plot to Star Wars.
I'm Harry Newman. My hair is a fright.
That's how we got ourselves high, before we discovered drugs.
You had a long mane head too.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What does it say? Oh, that's pretty much right. Yeah, okay.
And so, with 2 teenagers in tow, it was off to Europe she did go. They slept in a tent wherever they went, be it Paris or Brussels or Rome. 'Twas a big adventure for sure, for all over Europe they did tour. Hey kids, how about going on a train ride? Oh, Mom, are you sure we should? We are in Eastern Europe. Oh, pshaw, what's the worst that can happen? End up in Poland or something? Yeah. Mom, we're hungry. Here, have another pate sandwich. Entschuldigung, I need calf's liver. Moo! Moo! And when it was done, back to Peterborough she did come, but with her love of adventure not cured.
No.
The first time he met her, he remembers the first
The
thing he said.
1980s were a strange and confusing time for everybody. I think we can all admit that. The Soviet Union... The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and then the U.S. boycotted their Olympics to show them, you know, screw your Olympics, Russia. Prince Charles and Lady Diana got married, and it was a magical magical experience, so I hear.
Our mother perfected her craft, coaxing young minds to expand. At her jokes and performance, the students all laughed, though today some of them might be banned. I'm speaking, of course, of the underwear trick. Say it once and they'd laugh themselves silly. Get the giggles all out, then settle down quick to learn that fee is not pronounced filly. In her bright yellow Honda, Mum raced out to Trent.
Oh, dear.
All those history lectures just thrilled her. A mother, a teacher, and a top-notch student. You'd think having it all would have killed her. But she did it all ably, with aplomb, so to speak. She never once failed to amaze. Thank God for the crock pot's slow cooking technique. It kept us fed and her sane through all those essays. So was it all worth it at the end of the day? How would you even begin to measure? She got her BA and a big hike in pay, but the knowledge itself was the treasure.
Yes.
With her degree in the rear view, it was time for some rest, so she found a nice spot on the lake. With her last child finally leaving the nest, she could finally enjoy a well-deserved break.
Thank you.
Now, the 1990s. Here's a decade about which I can speak. Well,
Yes,
really.
part of it.
So the first McDonald's is opened in the Soviet Union in 1991, which truly brings an end to the Cold War. And Adidas tracksuit sales have been off the charts ever since. Sorry, that may have been inappropriate. Rap music starts to become socially acceptable and not the music of criminals, and as I'm sure many thought.
Some important people were born.
Oh yes, yes. A number of important people
Number
were
of
born.
important people right in this room.
Oh yes. No, so I guess someone in this room became a grandmother at that time. I don't quite remember who it is, but it'll come to me. You know, bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana all taught us how horrible it was to live in Seattle, and everyone moved to Portland, and that really characterizes the 1990s as I knew them.
From the fairy tales, this one is called Banana Story.
Banana story?
Here's Hans Christian Andersen. Once upon a time, there was a lady named Arlette, and she became a grandmother. She loved being a grandmother. She would come to Toronto and Mississauga and visit her children as often as she could. Whenever she came, it was with a magic basket full of games and treats. Gradually, the grandchildren came to know her as the Great Dame's Nana. She used to love to sing to her grandchildren at night. She would make the long climb up the stairs and settle in on the bed and sing for hours. Big Rock Candy Mountain, the circle game, she would sing and sing long after the grandchildren fell asleep. Sometimes even the mommies fell asleep listening to the grandmother sing. As the grandchildren got older, she introduced them to games, card games, board games, dice games, and at first she let them win, but not for very long. For many years to come, she was heard to say, whenever she won a game, "I'm sorry, but not too sorry." And as the grandchildren got older, they started to win. And as they found themselves winning more often, she was often heard to say, "Do you have horseshoes stuck up your butt?" The Games Nana was much loved by all of her grandchildren for all of the time she spent with them and all the games she taught them. We love you, Nana.
Thank you.
Now the 2000s, what a time that was. We're still not really sure what to make of it. Flying got a whole lot harder to do. No one's really sure why. The dot-com bubble, we all made millions and lost it at the same time. It was a magical experience. Apple Computers unveils the first iPod, and then we all subsequently ran out and bought one. There was a big earthquake. Oh, never mind. Oh, Katrina. Oh, Jesus. So they finished the Harry Potter series, and we all got to find out what happened, but if anybody ruins it for me, I will be pretty upset. Barack Obama, our Lord and Savior, saved everybody from hopeless republicanism. And SpongeBob SquarePants makes his first appearance, which, played an integral role in most of our lives, I'd like to think. Maybe that's just me.
Mom and Dad made a big fuss. They said, no more winters for us. They loved the Southwest, where saguaros grow best, and soon visiting them was a must. Dad and I once had gone hiking. Our lateness was not to Mom's liking. She called the police, who said getting lost must cease. And Dad said, well, what about biking?
To the end of the show. Well, I imagine the production value isn't going to be winning us any Oscars. Paul may, in fact, get a nod for Best Supporting Actor or Actress. I'm not really sure what category they're going to throw him under, but it'll be nice to see him get some recognition for his hard work. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and the show as much as we enjoyed putting it on for you. And if that's the case, then our goal will have been accomplished. With that being said, if everyone wants to come up and join us for the last number.
Anybody that wants to. You can't all.
Yesterday, a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly in its jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and fearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. Then the child moved 10 times round the season, skated over 10 years of frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams.
Okay, we didn't have a chance to practice.
Seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. 16 spring. Round and round and round in the circle game. All right.
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed. I was thinking a week ago about what are some of the things that I would like to share with you this day. And You have so surprised me and thrilled me and entertained me and paid tribute to what is really a very normal life.
Of course it was.
It's pushed all of wise words that I had to share with you out of my mind, but then it will be far less boring, I'm sure. Anyway, I want to thank you all. It's amazing, isn't it, the talent that we have in this family? I mean, you know, the poems and the costumes and all the details that you went through and that you remembered. You remembered things I have long forgotten, and now they're all back, and I hope they're recorded.
They are.
And I would like to share this with Dad. I think he'll be delighted.
Yeah,
So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the thoughtfulness and all the work and all the love that you've given me today. Thank you.
We love you, Mom.
Ma chère Arlette, c'est à ton tour de te laisser parler d'amour.
Parlez-moi d'amour tant que vous voulez. They sang me a song telling me that it's a pleasure to sing of love to me. I said, you can sing of love to me anytime you like. Okay. Now. I've got to leave at least one lit up, right?
How would you say?
1, 2, 3. I won't